Christie's, there's so much research that has to be done for every artwork we handle, and every artist, whether they're a living artist or they have an estate or a foundation or they have nothing of the sort. I think of artists like Franz Klein, where there is no foundation, there is no catalog raisonné, there is no place where you can get a definitive answer. Is this a real Franz Klein? And we have to do this kind of guessing game, looking at our terms of warranty or terms of guarantee, and making a game time decision about what we offer. We have to feel extremely good about the provenance that we have. But if we were to see a more broad kind of adoption of blockchain technology in this space, that might be a vestige, something that we get rid of, and we can have this reliable, obviously true information to lean on.
Yeah, totally. And actually, maybe CZ, back to you. I think we obviously think, at Binance, we think quite a lot about sort of crypto and blockchain-based applications. I think we think of NFTs and smart contracts and kind of how it's intersecting with the art world. What do you think about the broad? I'm sure the audience is keen to know. How do you feel about the broader NFT craze and the market's really hot right now? What sort of thinking have you done on the space?
Sure. So I think NFTs are really, really interesting. So personally, well, not personally, like Binance has been pushing NFTs since 2019, but back 2 years ago, we wasn't pushing that hard. We were running events with NFTs. We're using Ethereum as the sort of blockchain to do that. And we actually have issued a number of Binance NFT collectibles, and one of them actually sold for $5,000 back then. I actually know him on Twitter. I never met him in person. So that was just an NFT that was created to celebrate one of Binance's occasions. So that was actually quite an eye-opener for me. But I have not done too much myself on NFTs. But the recent craze, especially with today, somebody paying $6.6 million for a digital piece actually made me look into a bit more. Personally, I find NFTs have a few really interesting advantages. So I think, as Noah said, I'm one of those people. I will lose anything that's physical. So I travel a lot. I move around a lot, and I live from 2 suitcases for years. So anything that's physical, I lose. And fortunately, anything that's digital, I kind of keep them relatively well because I organize my files relatively well. I keep my computers fairly secure, especially now. So I don't lose that much digitally, and digital stuff is much easier to organize. The other thing for me that's really interesting about NFTs is historically the arts don't. One big thing, my understanding of arts is one big thing is the story around it, which Noah also mentioned. So there's a story that goes around a piece of art. And that story, that history is really, really actually important and also valuable. And with NFTs now, you can track this history publicly on the blockchain, which is something that we cannot do before. Before, it's always a piece of paper around it, and somebody tell you a story, you can believe it or not. But now the history is on the blockchain, which I think really adds to the value. So, for example, I don't know who the buyer of this art is today, but maybe he'll remain anonymous. Maybe he won't. But we know somebody paid $6.6 million today, and later on there may be a buyer who's more public about it. So we'll know the history, which is actually a really interesting storytelling for the future potential buyers of this art, which didn't exist before. And I think NFTs, as Mike mentioned, have so many other use cases like concert tickets. And we recently discussed, somebody actually brought on Clubhouse, brought an idea to me about using NFTs as a deposit voucher. So in most places where banks don't want to work with cryptocurrency exchanges, people can actually issue NFTs and sell them as an NFT. And most countries are fine with that because that's viewed as a low frequency transaction, and that can potentially be used as a deposit voucher for a cryptocurrency exchange. So there's so many new use cases we haven't really imagined or we haven't really realized. But it's really good to see. But I do believe very strongly that NFTs have crossed the tipping point. It's now for the last 2 years or so, it was in the sort of, okay, this is a new thing and that's kind of interesting. But now I believe looking at the volumes today, looking at NBA doing their stuff, it's crossed the tipping point. I think that there will be a solid user base, or user community, and solid user base around it. So I think that's really, really interesting. And we want to explore how can we offer value in this space as well. So that's something we're thinking about and still exploring, to be very frank. But I think this place, as Mike said, is just the beginning. But I do believe it's crossed the tipping point. So the next little phase is going to be really, really interesting.
Totally. Yeah. As I've, explored NFTs kind of on the both just as part of the, having crypto as a day job and then also just having it on the side. I think something I'm encouraged by is one, there's a lot of just new blood into the space, right? So there's a lot of new companies that are like Christie's, which has like a strong legacy and sort of track record. There's new artists like Mike and others, and they're coming into crypto and thinking about things with kind of new mental models, which is exciting for me. And then also it's just good to have a new inflow of people that are I guess thinking about problems and sort of spaces that we've looked at for a while with just a fresh set of eyes. And so I think that's been exciting for me, definitely. I guess changing gears a little bit, I'd love to chat a bit with the MakersPlace team here. Mike mentioned that you guys were instrumental in setting this deal up. What has that process been like for you guys? And I guess what went into making kind of the first 5,000 days possible?
Yeah. No, I think the process getting to this point was definitely a journey. I think we've been in the space again since the very early days of the NFT rush with CryptoKitties back in 2018 and the initial bull run, and like even though there were these really early examples, the things that really got the early adopters like us interested in the space, there still was considerable significant doubt and lack of understanding of digital ownership and the value of anything digital for like a number of years. And so I think that's sort of the starting point for us. Like we've just been since the very beginning, just like building out the platform, educating people, talking to anybody who's willing to listen. And it's just been a process. And these things seem like overnight successes, like all major successes, but it's multiple years in the making. And just where we sort of come from as early pioneers in the space, just a lot of infrastructure had to be built. If you look back even a couple of years, I don't think a Christie's would have made any sense, just because the technology, the on-ramps to crypto were so bad. I mean, there's still a long way to go with the infrastructure, but we've come a long way. There's fiat on-ramps today. There's education. There's just so much literature out there for people to just understand. There's proof points. The very fact that even a year ago, the idea of paying more than a few $100s for a digital art piece was sort of crazy. It's and you have a piece from Mike, obviously, like going for 6.6 million last night. It's just mind-boggling, but a lot had to go into that. And so going back to the initial question, like how did we get to this point? It's all of that foundation building for many years, and we've always knew that getting into taking digital art mainstream was a big part of what we wanted to achieve. Obviously, there's considerable value just kind of doing things this new way in this new renaissance, but getting recognition, getting approval from like the traditional fine art world and the traditional art world was a big part of driving this movement mainstream. And we've constantly been my team member, I want to credit my co-founder who's really been at the just banging on people's door like literally every day, and that's just been his responsibility since day one. And he's just been talking to like all the major galleries and museums and auction houses, and we just been just grinding it out, to be honest, for lack of better words, just grinding it out for a number of years, and dealing with rejection and just being persistent. And I think like ultimately, when you put in that time and effort and you just continue to build out the technology and the platform, and you work at it, good things happen. And Christie sort of after many outreaches reached out and like, hey, they're ready. They're ready to give it a shot. And we had the technology, we had the infrastructure, we had the know-how and the proof points, and everything was just ready. And as Noah talked about, like the fact that like COVID also, for better or for worse, came into reality, and all the stars aligned, and we had an amazing artist, BEEPLE Mike, just at the helm, and just entering the space and bringing legitimacy and build and driving that renaissance. And it was just like literally all the stars aligned, and it was just ready to happen. And so yeah, that's sort of where we ended up, and where we are today.
That's awesome. And then Noah, as part of that, I guess you mentioned that your core customer base is fairly familiar with some of the core concepts of provenance and digital ownership and these sorts of things. What was it like talking to kind of a startup, a crypto startup platform to do a project like this, and what were sort of the decision factors when Christie's decided to do a project like this?
Quite honestly, it was refreshing, because MakersPlace throughout has shown a lot of passion about what they do and expertise, those are two values that we hold really high in our department. And they've also shown a kind of willingness to collaborate and teach us that we don't often see in the traditional art space. Our space it's kind of a parochial group of people who have this cloak of secrecy around how they get deals done and how we do business. And there's this cloak and dagger part of it too. But that just doesn't exist. That dynamic is not there. Everybody in the crypto space seemingly is interested in validating each other and facilitating an exchange of ideas and really promoting the culture. And that to me was really kind of amazing to get to experience in my professional life. I don't know who MakersPlace was speaking to and what doors they were knocking on previously, but this was the first time their name had ever come across my desk when my brilliant young colleague, Megan Doyle, who may be in the room, shout out to Megan Doyle.
Shout out Megan.
Shout out Megan. She, and this is not something I mentioned in my introduction, but I'm the head of online sales in the post-war and contemporary department. And so naturally, an opportunity like this is something where people would come to me and say, what do you think about NFTs? And after December, honestly, when Mike had such an amazing run at Nifty, that was the moment that really kind of calcified the whole thing for us and made it obvious that we needed to be paying attention to this space. So I was ready by the time Megan mentioned to me NFTs. And at that point, Mike and Rioma and MakersPlace, none of those variables were part of the equation. All I heard was NFT, and I said yes. And from that point onward, every new variable that was introduced, MakersPlace, Mike, I just was kind of in awe at how quickly and easily we put this thing together. And I just saw the potential from day one, and it only has become more exciting from there on out. I would be lying if I said I wasn't skeptical at first or nervous about doing something new. And my sort of feeling about the whole thing was, this is interesting because it's a novelty. It's something people are talking about. It's very relevant. And then as the project kind of defined itself, and as we all started to collaborate, it really dawned on me like this is a huge, potentially paradigm shifting event.
I would also add real quickly there, Noah, just to kind of reciprocate that. Our team was personally, and our team was pretty impressed with how things move quickly on your end as well. I think that was also very refreshing. Like a big part of what like just I think the general concern with sort of working with the traditional space is just adopting something new like this and scary and being very cautious. And I think hats off to you guys just for being innovators in this space, as well as being obviously leaders and adopting it so quickly and driving this to where we are today so quickly. And then I think that was amazing to see. And so hats off to you guys as well.
Thank you. I've been in art at auction for like 12 years, ever since I graduated college, and I've been at Christie's for 6. And this is the fastest I have ever seen the big lumbering corporate beast that is Christie's. And we're very efficient at what we normally do, but to do something new, it's not the easiest thing in the world. But in this instance, because of everything that happened in the past year, I think, and also because we have a new appetite for risk and we recognize the real opportunity here, everybody banded together from the CEO on down. The credit and finance team, the business management team, the executive team, all of our private client group team. Everybody has been really interested in kind of all hands on deck, and that you don't see.
And that's the thing I think that's super interesting to me about this space is that the pace of innovation is just absolutely mind-boggling. Just in the 4 months that I've been in this space, the amount of sort of like new ideas that I've seen and people pushing in all different directions has just been absolutely like insane. And I think what's cool about it is one of the biggest things that I think is super exciting and refreshing is you don't need anybody's permission to sort of like do this. It's this platform that's very agnostic and can be used in so many different ways. And if you build it and it has use, it will become very successful. Like, and you didn't need anybody's permission. There's no gatekeepers. It's just this thing that exists. And like anybody with a great idea and a bunch of hard work can sort of add value to. So that's why I think, it's just going to be this massive opportunity for so many different types of creators.
Mike, welcome to crypto. So yes.
Yeah.
And on this point, I actually want to ask you, as an artist, do you feel that this gives you much more access to opportunities, to funding, to clients, to collectors? How does this differ from the traditional sort of arts space?
So I wasn't part of the traditional art space. I was part of the digital art space. So to be honest, yeah, this opens up an insane amount of new possibilities for somebody like me, because people who are digital artists, they did not deal with collectors. They did not deal with auctions. They were not having sales. They did client work. They did freelance work. You got paid to solve a problem, and that was it. Nobody was making work as a quote unquote artist. And so for me, this is like absolutely opened up and just immeasurable amount of new opportunities. And not just for me, for a bunch of artists, in this space, because again, this has been art that has been being made for the last, 20 plus years, digital art, internet art, and stuff that there was no way to collect it before this. So, not just me, I've seen, a bunch of people in my community just absolutely, making life-changing amounts of money and sort of be able to completely change the focus of their career. So I think we're about to see just absolute explosion of new art and new sort of like ideas and people who never sort of pictured themselves as being, like myself, quote unquote artists, sort of enter the space. And at the same time, I think what that's going to also bring is a whole new group of collectors and people who never pictured themselves as being art collectors suddenly look at this stuff and be like, wow, this is art that speaks to me in a way that traditional art maybe didn't. And I think you're going to see a bunch of people who, understand tech and, have made some money from tech and never really thought about taking and putting that money into art. I think they're going to look at NFTs and this art and, give it a real hard look as something that they would like to invest in.
Yeah.
Well, just to also kind of piggyback up on that, I feel like just kind of the doors that NFT art is opening and the barriers that it's breaking down for both just like collectors and artists is just really exciting and pretty amazing. It's like, now artists anywhere in the world can sell to a collector anywhere in the world, and just like we're seeing it really change lives, and I think that is something that just really makes me so proud to be a part of that type of industry.
So this is something I can draw a parallel to. I can relate to this very much from a not so much art creator, but more just sort of from a builder perspective. So I think crypto do very much offers opens like really new doors, like really big doors, for builders, creators all around the world, people who are just creating stuff. And it opens up funding. So this is very to be honest. If we peel through sort of NFT, etc., I've always said blockchain is really important for blockchain fundraising is really important. It's a killer app. And to be honest, NFTs in some variations, in some aspect, is just is a variation of that use case, where now artists can basically raise money or earn money globally from people that like their art. So this is going to be most likely going to create a new industry, as Mike said. And with this new level of interest and funding available, we're going to see much better. Well, the artists are going to do better, and we're going to see better artists coming in. So we're going to see better art. So this opens up a whole new industry. So and this is really good for creators. I'm always the guy who's always rooting for creators. So I think this is something that most people probably have not fully realized. But it's not going to go away. It's just going to get bigger. But the other thing, though, I want to touch up on a little bit. Do you guys, with any new industry like this, if you look at ICOs, right, there's a lot of scammers. Do you guys see a lot of scammers in the NFT space already, or is that not a big problem, etc.?
I think I can speak to that from the platform perspective. I think obviously one of the benefits of NFTs, it's about authenticity. I think at its core, that's what's so beautiful about the NFT and specifically like the rare digital art movement, is that at its core it's always about authenticity. And so sure, you can have the open marketplaces and the ability to tokenize things and tokenize anything as NFTs, but when it comes down to it, when you know that the authenticity has been established at the point of creation, and when you generalize this to any sort of digital asset, digital creation as being tokenized as an NFT, it becomes extremely efficient down the line, and it cuts out a lot of the noise if you wanted to, right? And I think that's what's been amazing. From a platform perspective on our end, you can't even get started until you can go through at least a process of identification and authenticity, and then as a customer, you have that trust, and you can verify it on the blockchain, and then over time, that trust only becomes stronger, because when it comes to identity, like when you want to prove identity over time, as you get more proof points, it becomes much easier to prove over time and trust in that. And so I think that's one of the absolute killer use cases for NFTs right now, is that it cuts away the use case of collecting, which is authenticity, limited edition. It cuts away a lot of the noise, and it really allows you to focus on what matters, which is the creation and the artist and the authenticity of it. So yes, I think like there's always the cases for scams, but I think like just a way that sort of the value behind the movement and digital ownership, I think lends itself to solve a lot of these problems in the get-go.
Cool, thanks. Colin, you want to take the floor? I don't want to hog it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, this was it was kind of I was going to touch on some creative empowerment stuff as well. Actually, I guess one thing I'd love to hear from Aisha and Greg about, like, what is the community reception to to this upcoming drop in? Like, have people been excited? Has there been any interesting feedback or surprises that you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just step in real quick. Yeah, the feedback has been amazing. I mean, the the process of working with Christie's, like Danny has said, has been incredibly special and gives a lot of validation to artists, like Mike said, who have just only had the opportunity to work with clients and solve a problem for a client, get their paycheck and move on. And the fact that artists are being able to build their own brands, associate themselves indirectly at this point with Christie's, but maybe in the future directly with Christie's, it has been incredible. And it's, from our perspective as a platform, to be able to help them along the way has been incredibly special. And you know, I recently joined the MakersPlace team only about 2 or 3 months ago, and it's just been a whirlwind of excitement. And this is just kind of like a tipping point, I think, for the industry and artists all around the world. Aisha, you've been on the team a little bit longer than me. If you have any perspective from the artist point of view and our community as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I've been at MakersPlace now for a little less than a year. And kind of like what Greg is saying, is just crazy to see how much the space has evolved. Like 1 year ago when I first joined the team, I really could never imagine just like the extent of growth that we would experience so quickly. And I mean, from the artist side, from the community side, I think that there's definitely a lot of excitement. I think that people are finally feeling like something that they've been doing for so long is, you know, just finally being kind of validated and in a way legitimized. I think that, you know, on the flip side, there are some people who are like a little concerned about just like with this mass adoption that's happening. Like just in 1 week, we've seen like, you know, hundreds of thousands of people just kind of, you know, entering the NFT space, and which is really, really exciting. I'd say the one thing on the artist side is there's like a little bit of concern about, okay, is this going to become like a money game, or is the focus going to stay on the art and the artist? But I do want to say that like one of the things that is so awesome about this NFT art community is that people are just like collectors and artists are just extremely community oriented, and they are really like majority of the people. We were kind of talking about this last night in a Clubhouse, but I will say like the majority of people that are in it for the art. They, you know, are genuinely invested and interested, and care about not only the art but the artists themselves. And so I think that is, you know, really encouraging and refreshing to see, and I think that that will remain the case as the space continues to grow.
Fantastic. Yeah. And I guess that is a segue into I guess maybe one last question, and then I know we want to be cognizant of time. I guess this is a question for kind of the full panel here. You know, what I think we've talked a lot about you know, the pace of NFT adoption so far, and you know, the exciting energy. Like, you know, what do you think are the potential obstacles, or you know, what are the next milestones to hit, you know, as on the pathway to mass adoption? Are there certain things you'd love to see solved or built, or you know, what sorts of things do you look forward to in terms of achieving that mass adoption?
Well, I think it's been said already, but I think just continuing to really push education. Like, I feel like onboarding itself, and just kind of getting an understanding, at least for me, I entered the space a year ago without much of a crypto background. And I think like, you know, the initial like first month of when you're learning all these new terms and how everything works, it can be pretty daunting for newcomers. So I think just kind of like, for us at MakersPlace, at least, like we're really heavy on the education, like putting out as much content, as much like, you know, tools, kind of Danny had mentioned, you know, having fiat integrated into the site is kind of like a way to more easily onboard people into this world. So I think that for me is what would really need to continue happening.
Yeah, I very much agree with that. I think both of those things are the biggest things that are going to make this go mainstream, making it educating people and sort of making it easier and easier to buy, because right now on certain platforms, it's not super easy to buy. And I think that's something that really holds the space back. I look at Amazon and sort of how much work they put into removing one click from the buy process. So I think, that's really a key thing, is to make this stuff much more, if we want this to be a mainstream thing, which I think obviously everybody does, I think making it easy to buy is going to be one of the biggest things that we need to do. So yeah, I think those are very, to me also, what I'm encouraged by is I think they're super solvable problems. So I'm just very, very excited to see where the space will be even in, 6 months to a year. Just at the pace that I've seen, I can't even imagine what that looks like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. CZ?
Yeah, I think for me it's much simpler. I just want to see Mike selling another piece of art for $100 million.
Well, that's perfect segue. So guys, in 9 minutes, the bidding is going to open for BEEPLE's NFT at Christie's, which is really exciting. So I just want to take a moment and say congrats, Mike. This is going to be really interesting. Obviously.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I appreciate all the kind words from everybody. The outpouring of support from the community has just been absolutely, absolutely insane. And I just could not be more thankful and humbled to be in this position. Especially representing the digital art community, which I know to be such a amazingly supportive, thoughtful, just inclusive, kind community, and the crypto community as well. Everybody has just been so supportive. It's just could not be more thankful.
Yeah, obviously. So from my perspective, for milestones, selling this current NFT very, very well is going to be very important. But in the immediate aftermath, I think for Christie's, we are not interested in taking over this whole NFT marketplace. That's absolutely not our goal. But I do hope we can put together a small capsule collection of really interesting full NFT complement sales. Like if we can put that together in the wake of this auction and introduce our audience to a wider array of really amazing digital creators and sort of curate that selection for them, because we're going to need to cut through all of that noise. I think that is a big milestone. And also for me, the acceptance of cryptocurrency. If we can get to a place, this is the first sale at Christie's where we're accepting Ether for payment. So if we can start doing that on a regular basis and we see that it revolutionizes the way we think about currency and payment and settling sales too, I think it could have a humongous impact for us.
I think that's an area we can potentially look into some solutions to help as well. So yeah, I wasn't completely joking before. It was a joke, but I think Mike, I think you may or may not realize that you are the leader in the space already. Because given that your art sold for 6.6 million today, that's going to encourage many other artists to join this industry. And then once we have more artists, then we'll have more arts to sell, and we'll have more guys who wants to buy art. And with crypto now, people can pay in Ether, in Bitcoin, in hopefully BNB. So people all around the world can have access to that now. So can have access to digital art now. So I think So I actually honestly think that the market is going to grow. Maybe not 100 million per art, but the total market will grow. So hopefully, one of the milestones is we hopefully in the future, in the soon future, Binance will be able to offer some services in this space to make things easier as well.
Yeah, I could not agree more. I think we're very much just at the beginning of this. I think, obviously as more people learn about this and enter the space and it grows more and more acceptance. I mean, that's the thing. Every single day, as more and more people come to this space, it grows stronger and stronger. It's just like, crypto in general. It's one of these things where people see value here and people are, it just compounds as more and more people come. So I'm just super, super excited to see where it goes from here.
And I guess as we have 5 minutes left, I do want to ask, Noah, what is the best place for people in the audience to go check out the sale action starting in 4 minutes now, right? So is there a quick plug you want to make to the auction page itself?
Absolutely. I love a plug. And you kind of gave it away. It's the auction page itself, guys. It's christies.com.
Okay, yeah.
That is the only place where you can go to watch all of the fireworks, hopefully. I think the next few first hours are going to be really interesting. This is going to be a grueling 14 days, right? It's a much wider period of bidding than the NFT community is used to. But this is our first foray into the marketplace. So we want to be sure that we have enough wiggle room to make the mistakes. Let's see how it goes. But I think that the next couple of hours are going to be really, really interesting. So if you can, tune in to christies.com, the BEEPLE every day's sale, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, totally. I just pulled it up, and it's right there on. It looks like we've got a couple minutes left here. I may actually stay on the line just to watch the action get started. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining in today.
Thanks, guys. It's a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
and especially
guys.
thank you,
Thanks
Mike.
for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck on the sale. 100 million.
Thank you. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that.
All right. Thanks,
Awesome.
everyone. Bye.
Colin, are we staying on to watch the start of the auction, or do you want to end? now?
Yeah. Actually, I don't know if there's going to be any major fireworks. I think some people stepped out already, but yeah, I mean, it starts in 2 minutes and 7 seconds now, and so I'm happy to stay on just to see if something happens. But yeah, it sounds like it's going to be kind of a long, drawn out process. Yeah.
I will gladly stay on as well.
Cool. And actually, I
with
see some crypto art contemporaries in the audience. I may pull up a couple people here. Yeah, cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining today. I may stay on for just 10 minutes or so. We've got Baka in the thing now. I invited Parrot. I invite Gabby. These are
Couple
my
of people.
crypto art friends
Colin.
as well. So, yeah. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Oh, it's insane. I'm pretty sure the website is gonna crash.
That is actually a good guess. Hey, Gabby, how's it going, man?
Hey, you've been on fire, Colin.
Yeah, let's. We're not going to keep the room open too much longer, but I think in the first 5 or 10 minutes here, we do want to see what happens. What's going to happen in the Christie's auction here? How do you guys think about? How are you guys thinking about this BEEPLE drop in general?
10 million plus.
I think so too. I mean, I think so for those in the audience that maybe didn't have context, the 6.6 million figure that CZ referenced was actually a prior work that BEEPLE had done on a different platform, and so that one sold kind of in advance of this one. So I think this one will, and that was an overwhelming record. So that was a $6.6 million sale. And previously, I think, most crypto art pieces had been flirting with the one, the premier crypto art pieces had been flirting with 1 million. And so, to not just crush through the $1 million sale mark, but the 6.6 million was a pretty insane moment in the space. And by the way, I am on the Christie's page, and it just, the countdown just switched to closing in 14 days. So I'm not sure if there's fireworks yet. Looks like there's a starting bid for 100. I guess I'll kind of give commentary here. But yeah, I think, that 6.6 million bid was in advance of this Christie's auction, which I think is going to elevate the stature even further. Oh, wow. Okay. I can kind of maybe do an auction impression, because now it does show the bids in real time. So we were at 100 a second ago, and we're at 300. We're at 1,100. This is actually more action than I was expecting. So there's 11 bids for $1,100. Yeah.
38 bid.
Yeah, there we go. We're at 7,500. Okay, this is I can't do like a good old timey auctioneer imitation, but things are moving pretty quick here. I can imagine this is kind of the digital version of an old school auction house. So 8,500. There's already 40 bids for this piece, so there's definitely quite a lot of eyes on it. I wonder, actually, if anyone in the audience has placed a bid on this thing, do let us know. We'd love to hear your perspective, actually. So there's 46 bids, 50 bids. We're now at $17,000. I think we've been open for less than 2 minutes now. So this thing is gonna pick up quite a lot of steam, which is exciting. It's pretty crazy to see this in real time.
Yeah, so this is gonna definitely change the game. I mean, if that 6 million thing didn't, because people are kind of like getting into NFTs by word of mouth right now. So when this hits the news, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a new wave of people just coming to NFTs, and damn, I'm gonna have so much work onboarding people. Also, speaking of onboarding,
totally.
Greg, you actually onboarded me to MakersPlace, so thank you very much for that. Super sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, nice to connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you said, the rush of interest and just like influx of attention has been almost overwhelming from our point of view. It's been special and has led to some really awesome like this one. So
totally.
Yeah,
so
glad to hear you had a good experience.
A quick update on pricing. So I think we'll wrap the room in a few minutes here. But we are at 79 bids already on this Christie's piece, and we're at $130,000 already. So by any other metric, this would be an insane one of one. We're at $200,000 now. By any other metric, this would be an insane one of one sale price. And we're in the first 2 or 3 minutes here. And we're already clearing 200,000. We're at $220,000 now. So this is going to be, I think for fans of crypto art that have been tracking this closely, this is about to be potentially a pretty momentous little auction process here.
So that means that I'm not going to be minting tomorrow because everybody's going to be spending money on this.
No, I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure the rationale there. I'm sure most people are already probably priced out of this, but hopefully it brings new collectors into the space and everything. We're at 320,000 already. Yeah. Hey, Josh, thanks for joining us.
Hey guys, great chat so far. What a momentous day.
Yeah, it's been pretty insane. We're at $420,000. Yeah, this is wild. Greg, what's this like from your perspective? Right, you've been with the MakersPlace team. This is probably a huge process for you guys, right?
Yeah, like Danny said, Ryoma has been working incredibly hard, very much behind the scenes and behind closed doors, just because of the sensitivity for this type of relationship to go public. So luckily, I was able to find out maybe a week early, just in terms of prepping social campaigns and working with Mike pretty closely the last couple of weeks has been so special. I mean, when I joined 2 or 3 months ago, like I said, I vaguely knew who Mike was and BEEPLE as just a concept. Didn't even like think at the time that there was a real person and like just a great personality that he has behind his work. So it's been just like thrown into the mix from my perspective so quickly, and it's been awesome. It's just been like the best experience, and this is just incredible to watch this within the first 5 minutes, already above $500,000 US.
Yeah.
And I can
just totally
the gratitude that Mike has. He's been one of the most sincere, humble artists, as I'm sure you all picked up by his talk today. But an incredible moment for our team.
Totally.
Great.
Yeah. Well, congrats to you guys, and thanks for facilitating this. Yeah, Josh.
Yeah, I was just
thank you.
jump in
Thanks for reaching out
and push a question to you back, Greg, if I can. How have you seen other artists in the digital space respond to this this whole process? Have they been reaching out to you in